you know it's a Monday win. John, hear you there. It's another Monday, Reaction Monday here on SDH. Thanks for dropping by, as you always do. Sorry about 9:06. I was making sure that I had enough caffeine to get me through. So, like, literally right here. All right, so it's busy. It is the spring of soccer, and we still have another 5 days before it's officially the summer of soccer. We're going to get into Club World Cup. Chelsea and LAFC is at Mercedes-Benz this afternoon for the first of 6 matches inside the tournament inside that building. Remember, it is grass now. So we will hear from, we'll hear from Enzo Maresca, the head coach at Chelsea. We'll hear from Malagusto about the tournament. We'll hear from Frankie Maya. We'll hear from Aaron Long from LAFC. That'll be coming up in our Club World Cup coverage. Bart Keeler is going to join us in hour number 2 because the Gold Cup is going on, and it's the first matchup with the U.S. men's national team. Jay Fortune got the start yesterday for Trinidad and Tobago, 5-0 win for the U.S. We'll discuss that coming up in hour number 2. We'll discuss Gold Cup in general, and our coverage of the Gold Cup might be getting some assistance from friends out west, so we'll keep an eye on that as well. Mexico, Dominican Republic in the door. USMNT, Trinidad and Tobago in the door. Haiti and Saudi Arabia got chippy. But, hey, when those two get together for the rivalry, throw out the record books. Haiti and Saudi Arabia, Costa Rica and Suriname. And that one was the crazy one of the evening with our friend Tyler Terrens, who got to call that one with Warren Barton. Today, it is night action. Panama and Guadalupe, Mark Followell, Warren Barton. And from a Dignity Health Sports Park in Carson, it is Jamaica and Guatemala, with Tyler Terrens and Mo Adu. So that is Gold Cup today. When Canada's playing, we're looking to catch up with some of our friends up north. And like I said, we'll hopefully catch up with friends out west as the tournament continues to go there. We will have any kind of leftover talk that you guys are that you have in your head when it comes to Gold Cup, when it comes to Club World Cup. And we probably are going to go over the results. We'll go over the results from the weekend and break it all down for you, especially the 10 that happened with Bayern Munich and Auckland City yesterday. We'll discuss all of that, get you ready once again for the tournament. Don't forget, on our social media, we have our daily updates with anything and everything going on when it comes to the Club World Cup. It is some combination on a daily basis of me and Maddie and Jason. And we kind of let you know what happened. We get you ready for what's going to happen. Once again, today, Chelsea and LAFC from Mercedes-Benz. We will have, just set your notifications, we will have some kind of coverage pre and post. And it'll be taped stuff pre, and we'll keep you posted on the post. But once again, set your notifications to us, and then that way you can kind of find out what's going on with us when it comes to our coverage of all of the matches at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, starting with Chelsea and LAFC. And we'll also go over the rest of the weekend in Major League Soccer, and it's going to the show going to fly. We also got AM news and things like that. Tomorrow, we are going to have Ben Jacobs from Talk Sport. He's going to join us at 10 o'clock to discuss Club World Cup, what happened today, tomorrow. And we might have somebody visiting us from an airport. So that's what the rundown is tomorrow. One guest in the first hour, one guest in the second hour, plus everything else going on around the planet. Normal guests, I can't remember when Tyler goes to Portugal, but we should have normal guests on Wednesday. And Thursday, we might have a guest in an airport to go with Nino and Nico on the Power Hour. And then Friday is getting you ready for anything and everything. We've also got WPSL to talk about. All the craziness, all the things, and it's just the beginning of the week. It's just how this goes. All right, no dilly, no dally zone. Our buddy Abe Gordon dropping by from 92.9 The Game. Where, sir, would you like to start? With since we are in the spring of soccer, where would you like to start?
4 days after trashing the U.S. men's national team, everything is okay. Is that what we're thinking?
Sure, why not? I mean, you know, Jay Fortune started for TNT yesterday, Trinidad and Tobago. It was Jay Fortune, Kevin Molino in that 5-4-1. And everything is okay because, you know, hey, it's a 5-0 win and it's match one. And so the world is right again. Everything's on the axis and nothing's spinning out of control, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, look, all jokes aside, obviously it was an ugly performance against the Swiss. But if we want to look at it in terms of one was a friendly and one was a legitimate competition, we could go at it that route. And I just think sometimes maybe there are bad matchups and who knows. But I'm not going to overreact to what happened 4-0 loss. The same way I'm not going to overreact to what happened in a 5-0 win. Look, it's one of those things. I'm not as down on the U.S. men's national team as I think a lot of people are. But I am like a wild optimist about stuff like this. It's one of those things like I get it, but I hope they can figure it out in time for the World Cup next year, but also, I guess, as they roll through the Gold Cup here. So we'll see what happens. Another opportunity on Thursday, and we'll the more we have examples of what this team is going to be or what they look like with the current personnel, we'll go through it. But it all is saved. There's no pink slips or anything like that, and people are fine.
People are. Wait a second here. Normality on a Monday, sir? Come on now. What we can't have that, can we?
I mean, I'm just doing anything I can to talk about what was truly a poor performance, which is Atlanta United the other week. So, a couple of other soccer matches over the time. I saw Bayern scored 10 goals against what I believe was deemed or termed a amateur club.
Well, they are. I mean, literally, you've got dudes who have burned up all of their work leave from their actual jobs. And I mean, you're talking like teachers and reps for Coca-Cola and things like that. And they've burned up all of their leave, or they're going to with all of this just so they can play in this tournament, man. Yeah, they are as amateurs.
Yeah, there's only one bummer in my opinion from that score line, and that it wasn't 10-1. I always find like in those matchups, like if the amateur team or the guy that's the local pie maker or whatever job these guys have that we find most interesting, like I always find it great that like, yeah, they lost 10-1, but this guy scored a goal against Bayern or this guy scored a goal against PSG or whatever. So we were deprived of that lifelong moment, but we move forward. There's still some good games in that group.
Oh, no doubt. And you look at all the others, but okay. So I'm looking up Auckland City, and I wanted to get like some of the dudes with their jobs and things. And I know that the keeper has been the one who has been. He has been the one that has been getting a lot of the attention. The head coach is a dentist, and I think he had burned up all of his leave, or burned it up to a point to where he couldn't be there for this first match and was flying over, and so he like missed practice time and things like that. And so,
it showed. All right, it showed.
I mean, I know it was 6-0 after the break, and then folks are sitting there going, do they belong here? And I'm like, look, I look at it this way: you've earned your way into the tournament. You have absolutely earned your way into the tournament, and then because I think this is like the 12th time in franchise history that they have won that particular Oceania tournament, because the pro teams that are based in New Zealand actually play in the A League in Australia, because there aren't enough professional teams in New Zealand. And so that's why this group of guys has worked their way through, and they won the tournament and they made their way in.
I also think just generally with the expansion of the field of the FIFA Club World Cup, you're going to see a couple of score lines that are similar to this. I wouldn't be surprised. And I know we've seen some 6-1s and some 7-0. I just think it'll be a little bit more normal the more we see Club World Cup play out.
Did the 4-0 PSG over ATLUTD surprise you at the Rose Bowl?
No. I mean, honestly, nothing's really going to surprise me from the Club World Cup. I just don't know how people's mindsets are, how serious they feel this competition is compared to the league or compared to a continental or a country tournament. And so, no, I'm not sure everyone's fully bought in from the players' side of these things. So that's one of the storylines I'll be kind of trying to feel my way through as we see more teams get going.
All right. So it was a late night for Seattle. They lose 2-1 to Botafogo. You end up with goalless with Palmeiras and Porto. Porto coming here to Mercedes-Benz on Thursday. Chelsea and LAFC later today. We're going to hear from some of the principals coming up in just a little bit. What kind of a matchup are you looking at with Chelsea and LAFC? Chelsea coming through with a very, very busy season. And LAFC is in the middle of theirs. What kind of matchup are you expecting?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that I always think of is in what is finally a competitive matchup for an MLS side against a Premiership squad. Is the EPL side dialed in? Are they respecting at all of LAFC? And maybe the play deems that they don't need to be respectful of them, if they end up rolling right through them. But the mindset is always interesting because there's no doubt people across the pond probably look down on the league here, and it's a chance for a statement, in my opinion, from LAFC, a team that had to fight just to get into the tournament, and so very fascinated by this. I think it was Buanga in the playoff game against Club America was simply outstanding. And we've seen him obviously at times in the MLS season. I'm fascinated to see him go up against some of the world's best because I think it could be again, we're familiar with him from the MLS side of things. I think it could be a pretty big breakout moment for him if he can feel and look as dangerous against Chelsea as he did against Club America. I'm more just fascinated in how it looks at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, the grass, and obviously a preview of how things could look in the World Cup just under a year from now. But 3 p.m., I'm sure it's going to be a madhouse downtown, so I'll stay north of the city.
I mean, it was wild yesterday looking at the grass, because you're going to the press conferences and things like that, and you can look down the chutes, and it's like literally the lighting that they had on top of the grass changes colors. It's I don't know what pink does. I don't know what white yellow does, but apparently it affects the grass in certain ways, and maybe you're just supposed to have certain colors at certain times of the day so the grass behaves as certain does. But it was wild to see that setup. It looked like a terrarium like when we were growing up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's all sorts of science behind it, stuff that smart people get that I certainly don't understand. But I just don't want to see, and we've seen it at times, not necessarily here, but really anywhere, where just a 3.5 foot seam develops or something like that. I just want to see it look proper, and the best we can have, I guess, is no comments at all, right? I know. We've already seen some complaints about pitch quality. That's going to happen, unfortunately. I'm just hoping for none of that here in Atlanta.
Yeah. So if you were a tour guide for somebody coming into Atlanta for the Club World Cup, and you're going to have 6 chances to see matches, how would you best sit there and give someone coming into town as a tourist? What would you tell them to do as a soccer fan, and what would you tell them to do as someone who is wandering into town? How would you be the tour guide for those folks coming into town over the next little while?
Yeah, I think from the soccer perspective, you probably start at Brew House, right? And you're making sure to hit one of the biggest soccer bars in the country. And I know the voting and the rankings and all that, but I think that's certainly important. And then just to showcase the significance of soccer in the city, I'd probably take them down to one of those soccer fields at a MARTA station and let them know what the deal is. And from there, we head to a game and make sure they're aware of the United training facilities and the new U.S. Facility as well. And just make sure that they know. And then in terms of Atlanta as a whole, I think we all know there are a couple of destinations people from outside the city are either loosely or very tightly familiar with, and we probably go to the Varsity. I think everyone who's never been to Atlanta, whether you're a fan of the Varsity or not, ends up there at some point. Similar to Waffle House. If you're coming here from Chelsea, I know it's not an English breakfast, but like you have to go to Waffle House at some point, and then and then there's some like post game activities maybe they need to be familiar with.
I see. Now I thought that you were going to lead with the post game activities, sit there and have post game as your pregame.
You go to the game first, and you kind of build up the anticipation.
Well, I mean, lemon pepper has its own anticipation.
That's right.
Abe Gordon, 92.9 The Game, and the Odyssey app dropping by with us. Okay, so you kind of glossed over what happened last time out with Atlanta United. Now that you had a weekend to think about it, how much of it did you think about it over the weekend?
Well, thankfully, I didn't think about it at all over the weekend, which was nice for my mental health. It's just the same stuff, and you're trying to get the season turned around, and you have a couple more road games in which to do so, because you certainly can't wait if you're Atlanta United to get back home, where you have received a couple of points in your most recent home matches, to get going and to make any stack on that table. It's just the idea, and I've said it since like match day 5 or match day 6, and it goes back to last year too. Teams are not working hard enough to score on you. It has been made by mistakes so easy to score at times against Atlanta United, and that's what happens at the end of the first half. Terrible, unforgivable rookie it's a bummer because it's Brooks Lennon and he knows better. You just can't do that. You can't turn the ball over with no one behind you in your own box, essentially.
Yeah.
So you gift a goal in what, first off, should have been 1 or 2-0 your way heading into half, ends up being 1-0 down. I have to imagine the mindset at halftime was a complete downer, a complete bummer, and they came out and played that way in the second half. 3 goals in 4 minutes, and it's over. Not only is it over, but you're getting absolutely run, absolutely embarrassed in a standalone game. So just a lot of bad things going down all at the same time. And look, it's 4-0, right? So like one moment maybe is a different discussion here. I still have yet to hear exactly why it wasn't a penalty kick. I know in theory why it wasn't a penalty kick. I partially, and I mentioned this the other day, I blame Yankee Stadium for bad camera angles. How you don't have a definitive angle that shows where the ball is on Tiare's stomach or chest and where the glove is. I just don't understand how in 2025, with all the technology we have, we don't have like 360 degrees of full coverage from a replay angle. In theory, I understand why, but also at the same time, like I look at it, I'm like, all right, like what are we doing here? So, unfortunate not to be given a penalty kick there.
Yeah,
a couple other close opportunities. The offsides off of Derek Williams' header, maybe that goes in on its own, and obviously, I think it was Moranchuk hit the crossbar. You're talking about millimeters at that point. So a tough break from that perspective, but again, you've got to make teams work harder to score on you, and too often, especially on the road, especially in losses, that doesn't happen for Atlanta United. And it's just one of those things where you had no fight in the second half, and you kind of wonder what was said heading into an extended break here, with an eye on possibly a transfer window coming up.
Yeah, and that's what folks are going to be looking at is transfer window and possible change and how it rolls from here. But Atlanta United has time off between now and the 25th and or the 28th, depending on whether or not Messi and friends make it out of the group stage in the Club World Cup. So nothing like 2 road matches, one in Columbus and one in Fort Lauderdale, when you come back for your first 2 matches after your elongated break after the big loss in NYC, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, the way I look at it is just
maker. Thanks for that.
Yeah. However it plays out, if you're getting games pushed away till later in the season or not, I mean, maybe that's a benefit, right? Because instead of having 5 straight road games, 6 straight road games, and knowing you need to move up the table, that maybe that road game gets bounced later in the year where you're in a little bit better form or whatever. But you can only control what you can control. What you control is mistakes or not making mistakes on the field, and they've got to cut back. It's so frustrating, especially in a first half where you were the better team, really by leaps and bounds, and it's so tough to go into halftime mentally on that downturn that they just never got in the game, and that's its own problem. I'm getting tired of people, and I'm sure you've seen it. I'm sure people who are watching hopefully are on the same side of me as this. I really am getting tired of people calling out Ronnie Dyla in regards to this. It just doesn't make any sense. And we see it with the Braves too. Like it's not Brian Snitker that's going up there with terrible plate approach or whatever. Ronnie Dyla is not turning the ball over in your own defensive third, giving open goals against Goose. Like it's just the whole idea that he's the reason the team's struggling and putting no blame on individual players or the team itself on the field. Just it makes zero sense to me. It really does.
All right. What's going on with you and 92.9 The Game on the Odyssey app during the break while we're in the spring of soccer for another 4 days?
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to Jason Longshore's shows. He's got a couple of programs coming up that are going to cover the Club World Cup and kind of build towards the, I guess, the resumption, if you want to call it that, of Atlanta United season. So, we're just watching the Club World Cup, kind of same as everyone else. At the same time, keeping an eye on the Gold Cup and seeing if we should be panicking or not panicking or yelling about golden generations or who knows what's going on about the U.S. squad. So, look, it's a little bit of a downtime, right? We're nearing the end of the NHL and the NBA seasons. A couple moments before we get into training camp and the NFL really getting going. It's about to be a little bit slow in sports. So I think it's a perfect time for the Club World Cup to be here in Atlanta, a perfect time for the Gold Cup to be going on. And so there's a lot of good reasons to be a soccer fan right now.
So is Edmonton going to win the next two, or is Florida going to win it?
I don't think Edmonton's winning the next two. I don't know if it closes out tomorrow night or not, but I think ultimately Florida will win it.
Crazy. Brad Marsh
Mm-hmm.
in a Florida Panthers jersey winning a Stanley Cup. That is just crazy. As always, my friend, great to see you. Thanks for going through all of the other topics that are non-Atlanta United related. We'll be listening to 92.9 The Game on the Odyssey app. See you soon, my friend.
Yeah, you got it. Thanks, John.
All right, Abe Gordon. And Abe's going to go get hydrated, and he's going to do things at Colony Square. Once again, 92.9 The Game on the Odyssey app with our buddy Abe. Okay, let's run down what happened this weekend. We'll save the Gold Cup discussion for Bart because that will go with the USMNT discussion and the 5 goals on the board. We've got your highlights there. We'll play those leading into Bart. Jay Fortune got the start yesterday for Trinidad and Tobago in the 5-0 loss. He and Kevin Molina once again on the right-hand side. I was going back and forth with Drew Dickinson about it, and he's like, yeah, did you see the starting 11? I said, yeah, I did. Jay Fortune starting for Trinidad and Tobago. So you got that. It was a 4-3 Costa Rica match where Manfred Ugalde converts a penalty in the 103rd minute, and Costa Rica gets the win there. And like I said, Saudi Arabia and Haiti 1-0 there. And then once again with Atlanta with the U.S. men's national team and Trinidad and Tobago. And Mexico and the Dominican Republic. Full ups to the Dominican Republic, by the way, for scoring their first ever goal in the tournament and kind of hanging with Mexico. I don't know if this says more about Mexico or if it says more about the Dominican Republic. Like I said, we'll discuss Gold Cup with Bart at 10 o'clock, and we'll get you ready for all of that. And we have all the news of the morning and all the transfer stuff that's happening, and we'll go through that after we get through Bart. So with Bart at 10 o'clock, it'll be cards and calls, specifically the 2 in the Atlanta United match, and we'll go through VAR once again and discuss the lack of consistency. And because the match happened on a Thursday, I'm not anticipating anything from Pro on Inside the VAR studio until this upcoming Friday. So 8 days after the match is over, we'll see if something happens in that regard. And so keep an eye on that on Friday when it comes to the Atlanta United call. So we'll talk about cards and calls. We'll talk about offside. We'll talk about what happened in the review for the Atlanta United match. Like I said, that'll start cards and calls with Bart. Then we'll talk about the MNT, and then we'll talk about Gold Cup with Bart. That's coming up at 10 o'clock. We'll go through the rest of the weekend in Major League Soccer since we haven't had the chance to do that. And we'll go over the Club World Cup results so far. And I was doing some research while Abe was breaking everything down when it came to what he's been watching on Club World Cup and such. And you had from the Guardian, you had kind of the breakdown as to who was doing what where when it comes to Auckland City and who has jobs where, basically. And so it was an interesting read from our friends at the Athletic, who had pieced it together as to kind of who was doing what, where, and when. So, and then you had our friends at Footboom, who actually compiled the day jobs. Oh, great. No, so my phone is now locked in place. Okay, good. That's a good start. So I'm sure that it is completely and totally just confused anything. There we go. All right. So day jobs of Auckland City FC players revealed after Bayern defeat. We mentioned Kingsley Coman, Thomas Mueller, Michael Olise getting braces, Jamal Musiala, Sasha Bowie scoring. So Connor Tracy managing his duties as a warehouse employee, Adam Mitchell, Michael Den Heyer, and Nico Boxall, real estate, foundations, and sales. And Nico Boxall, yes, that is Michael Boxall's brother. Rigant Murati, on the right wing, logistics expertise from his role in a shipping company. Nathan Lobo is a sonographer. Midfield, Gerard Garriga is an academy coach. Mario Illich is a sales rep for Coca-Cola. Up front, community coaches David Seung-Ho Yu and Meyer Bevan are community coaches for local youth programs. Dylan Manicum is an engineer. And so, once again, that was your starting 11, by the way. So your starting 11, that was part of the group that was there. And thanks to our friends at Footboom for piecing together who is doing what, where, and when for Auckland City. And it's stories like that. And I know that it is a discussion about, well, why are they in the tournament? Well, they earn their way in the tournament. And we said that Auckland City goes through the Oceania tournament through the New Zealand angle because the top New Zealand professional teams, there aren't enough to have a professional league in New Zealand, so they play in the Australian league. And so our friend Bam would have all of the updates on that. And so Auckland City earns their way through by going through the Oceania tournament. It's the 12th time that they have won that tournament. And so they have the most appearances in whatever incarnation of the Club World Cup we're talking about, Confederations Cup, etc. 12 times they've won Oceania. And so, they have earned their way in. But I want to say they're like ranked 1900th in the world or something like that as a club. It's either 1900 or 25. I forget which, but I think that it's somewhere in there. There is that romanticism of one of the top seeds. It is a 1 and a 16. It's like when we discuss what's going on in the tournament in March and April, where you have a below 500 team make their way in and they go to Dayton and they win and they continue to play, and then they play one of the top seeds, if not the top seed of the tournament in the actual tournament itself. They get out of the play-in games in Dayton, Ohio, and they make it into the round of 64. That's what you have here. So Team 32 is Auckland City. They get to go against Bayern. That's just how it is. But the plan for us is for me to go up to practice on Thursday, and we'll turn a piece this weekend on Auckland City and focus on what it's like for them to be on an entirely different part of the planet, training in Chattanooga, Tennessee at the Baylor School, going to TQL Stadium, taking on Bayern Munich. I mean, these are memories of a lifetime for these folks. And so, yes, the scoreline was what it was. Yes, the scoreline was what it was at the half. It was 3 goals in 4 minutes. and then 2 in 3 at 45, and then 45 plus 3. So yeah, it was 6-0 at the half. I get that. But no, it's just very, very cool to see that evolve and see Auckland City be a part of this whole thing. And like I said, for me, it's a coolness factor that you get a club like that in a tournament like this. Yes, it's minnows, and yes, it's heavyweights, but sometimes you never know. All right, let's say hi to everybody this morning, early on anyway. We'll let you know what's going on. By the way, thank you for everyone who has already reported TWC or TW Kobe I, however you want to, best viewers on Boost Runner. So good on you. Morning, Ricky. Morning, Catalucci. Morning, Abby. And morning, David. So that's the early returns. And yeah, ain't nothing spring about what's going on right now. The only reason that I'm wearing a sweatshirt is because of air conditioning. Literally, it is because of the air conditioning here in the house. If I was to step outside, I would probably burn through this sweatshirt. But, once again, in a basement, in a studio, that's why I've been dressed like this. Ricky says apparently there was a lot of complaining about the field at MetLife for Palmeiras and Porto. Have not heard it, but we will dig that up. Let's see. So, Abby, once again, public service announcement from Abby. Have to let sevens know how the field is at the Bends, hoping 17s. See how the better the field is, other than last time. Abby, do not know if the match with Messi and friends, if it is postponed on the 28th. I'm sure that they will wait until the 27th to figure something out. If they do make it out of the group stage, and I think that the matchup against Porto will go a long way in determining that. And our buddy Nino Damas, Nino Torres at Goal TV, says that Porto is Palmeiras and or Porto would take care of Messi and friends pretty easily. So he is heavy on the. He is heavy on the notion of the other clubs in the group doing their serious damage on Messi and friends, and Messi and friends not making it out of group. But if Messi and friends were to make it out of group, Major League Soccer would probably come up with something either 28th or 27th or 28th or 29th, and this is postponed until. But yeah, I don't think that they're thinking that far yet because they don't necessarily have to. When they have to is when they'll come up with the alternative date or the alternate date for a possible match with Atlanta United in Fort Lauderdale taking on Messi and friends. Right now scheduled for the 28th, but we don't know at the moment when it would be pushed back and where on the schedule and on the calendar. So we could probably do some math and figure it out, but do not anticipate any kind of a switch when it comes to all of the material until then. So do not anticipate that until the moment that it absolutely is necessary. So haven't heard anything, haven't seen anything. They haven't made it out of group yet. So until that happens, until they're pushed to that option, then I would not anticipate some kind of discussion on it. Yeah, Abby, I know you're not alone. Abby in the Stanley Cup Finals, she wants the Panthers to lose. You are not alone. David is in. Good morning, David. A balmy 73 degrees is the scheduled high temperature in Ohio today. High in the middle and round on both ends, 73 degrees for your high. And so Abby has plans to go south. That's why she was trying to figure that out. But yes, high in the middle and round on both ends. Ohio. Okay, so once again, I got about 20 minutes. And it is Club World Cup. We'll get into that. So since we've discussed what's been going on with our friends at Auckland City, and it has been a weekend already of activity, it all started with Al Ahly and Inter Miami and Messi and friends kicking off the tournament at Hard Rock. It was an announced attendance of north of 60,000. The Al Ahly fans, I give them full credit for showing up the way that they did. Absolutely do. And now, looking at, and for those of you that missed this match, it was a match that reinforced the fact that Messi and friends defensively, they got issues. Boy, do they have issues. And so it was a it was a chance. And literally, if you had a club in ATLUTD that could finish their chances, it would have been an ATLUTD. I mean, it would have been an ATLUTD win, and it would have been one of those where Messi and friends really would have to be pushing for results to get out of group. But each team walks away with north of $1 million because it was a draw. The keepers really were the focus in this. El Shinawi for ATLUTD and Oscar Ustari for Messi and friends. Starting lineup, just to give you an idea. Suarez, Messi, your two forwards up top. Suarez got a yellow for dissension. Color me shocked. Midfield, Segovia, Busquets, Redondo, Allende. Busquets and Redondo ended up with yellows. Backline, Noah Allen, Maxi Falcone, Tomas Aviles, who got a yellow, and Ian Frey, with Oscar Ustari in net. Oscar Ustari punched a 9.6 on SofaScore. That is the highest I have seen for a rating for a keeper ever since I have come to SofaScore to look for ratings. A 9.6. And literally, this is not like something that has a top scale of like 13. You know, like we rate dogs goes to 14 out of 10. It's not, SofaScore is not like that. It literally is 1 to 10. And Oscar Ustari was out of his mind. They had good Oscar Ustari in this matchup against ATLUTD, and they needed him. Just to give you an idea, 8 saves from Ustari. You also had a penalty save from Ustari, from Trezeguet. 1 run out, 5 saves inside the box, had the 1 penalty save, 38 touches, 20 of 23, 87% passing, 7 of 10 on long balls. And frankly, that's all he needed. I mean, seriously, though. 8 saves and a penalty save on Trezeguet to keep the game goalless. 9.6 on SofaScore for a keeper. Insane. Messi punched an 8.1, by the way. His counterpart, Mohamed El Shinawi, had to save a moment, upper 90 far post, as time was running out, off a corner by Lionel Messi. So Messi goes short corner, pass back to Messi. Messi, edge of the 18 on the outside, sends it in with the left, tries to go upper 90 far post. El Shinawi comes up big to preserve this, the goalless draw. El Shinawi on the night, 90 minutes, 5 saves, 3 punches, 2 runouts, 3 saves inside the box, 44 touches. He was also 23 of 28 passing at 82%, 8 of 13 on long balls, 4 clearances, something that Ustari did not have. And he won, W-O-N, won O-N-E, aerial duel. So El Shinawi punches a bunch of different categories himself, gets an 8.6 on SofaScore. So the two keepers, an 8.6 and a 9.6. They kept it goalless, and that was crazy. 5 players for ATLUTD were north of 7s in their rankings. It was 6. 6 were north of 7. El Shinawi had an 8.6. Everybody else had under 7s. Trezeguet, with his penalty miss, he had a 6.7. Like I said, Messi on the night had an 8.1, according to our friends at SofaScore. Played the full 92 shots. On target, 2 shots off target. Had a shot blocked, 3 of 4 in the dribble, 2 posts. 76 touches, 31 of 42 passing at 74%. 2 key passes, 3 crosses, 2 long balls, 1 big chance. 8 of 18 on ground duels for Lionel Messi. Lost possession 25 times, as is the case. Fouled 3 times, had a clearance, came back defensively. 2 total tackles, 3 dribbles passed, and a clearance. So that was what Messi did at an 8.1. So you had, Abby, I don't know why El Shinawi got an 8.6. I really don't, considering that he registered more categories than Ustari. But I'm guessing that the penalty save for Ustari rocketed his number up, where it probably would have been about the same as El Shinawi's. Would have been a high 8 somewhere in there if it had not been for the penalty save on Trezeguet. But at the end of the night, goalless draw. Yeah, and yes, Abby, you are absolutely correct. I want to say it was, who was it? I think it was Aviles, who should have gotten a second yellow, but was gifted a warning at the time. But yes, Aviles, I think it was Aviles, really should have gotten a second yellow and should have been sent off. But I don't know if in a tournament opener, in a market that you yourself, if you were the head of FIFA, came in and said, we're holding it here. This is Team 32. We're holding it here. Do you want to have that kind of a response out of the blocks in match number 1 where you end up giving a player for the home team that you decided was Team 32 that was going to be coming in, that you're going to give them 2 yellows and have them go 11v10 against ATLUTD? You want to give if I were Jarrett and Black Helicopters, you want to keep Messi in the tournament as long as possible, and you don't want to jeopardize an 11v10 situation where possibly ATLUTD could score, and then Messi and friends would really have to fight to try to gain points to try to get out of group. So that is a Black Helicopter theory. Take it for what it's worth. So, yes, Suarez, dissent from Suarez. I know we're all shocked. And Derek, good morning, by the way. Miami may have issues. I'd take their issues over Atlanta's issues. But yeah, the back line, the defense for Messi and friends is horrendous. I mean, they are running folks down. They are trying to literally, they are chasing. Literally, it's like Keystone Cops at times, trying to, like in the old cartoons or in the old Keystone Cops movies that were in black and white, and you see everybody running at like 3 times normal speed, and they're running and they're chasing after the car. The cops with the big pill. It's like the big angular Huguenot hats like we saw in Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Those kinds of hats and the billy clubs and the cops with the woolen outfits chasing the car down the street at 3 times normal speed on film. That's what you saw at times with Inter Miami on defense. So Messi and friends, they got problems. We'll see if they get out of group. We will see if they get out of group. So goalless draw to start things off with our friends, with Messi and friends. Then we talked about the 10 that Bayern Munich put on Auckland City. That was at TQL. And after that, PSG put 4 on Atletico Madrid. That, to me, was a bit of a shock. PSG had a 2-goal lead. Then Atleti looked like they scored to cut it to 2-1. It went to VAR. Goal got pulled off the board. You end up with goal number 3 and goal number 4. And so PSG gets the Duke. And you had the penalty at 90+7 to kind of close things out. It was Fabian Ruiz in the 19th, Vitinha at 45+1, Mayulu in the 87th, and then and this is after the long red card that meant it would be the final 12 minutes. Atleti would be playing with 10. So they give a red card in that matchup. So Clement Longlaw in red in the 78th, or second yellow in the 78th. And so Atleti plays with 10. Goal by Mayulu in the 87th, 90+7 for Kengan Lee, and that made it 4-0 at the end of it. So PSG with a big 3 points, and Atletico Madrid with some work to do. Then Palmeiras and Porto at MetLife, no goals on the board in that one. Then your nightcap, we talked about it, Botafogo and Seattle. Seattle, 2 of their 3 matches are at Lumen. So they squandered an opportunity to try and get points in the first of those 2 home matches in the group stage. Igor Jesus had scored for Botafogo, and Jair Cunha had scored for Botafogo 16 minutes apart in the first half. It was 2-0 at the break. Seattle scored Christian Roldan with 15 to go. 31,000, I believe, was the announced attendance from our buddy Nico Moreno. And it was packed house from all intents and purposes, but Botafogo comes out with full points. And so Seattle's got some work to do next time around when it comes to match number 2 for them. Oh, okay, we do have stats. All right, so just to go to the stat window with Bayern Munich and with Auckland City. So 64% possession for Bayern Munich. Let's see, eight goals inside the penalty area conceded, 2 outside. Attempts at goal. So here we go. 31-1. Shots on target, 17-1. Inside the penalty area, 24 shots of the 31 for Bayern Munich. The 1 shot for Auckland City came from outside the penalty area. They had 7 from outside the penalty area. Final third entries, 36-5. Left inside channel 5-3, down the middle 14-3, right inside 10-1, down the right 31-1. Offers to receive is almost 2-1 for Bayern Munich, and attempted line breaks almost even 190-148, but completed line breaks 3-1 in the margin for Bayern Munich, 154-53. No yellows either side. 4 fouls for Auckland City, 11 for Bayern Munich, 4 offsides for Bayern Munich compared to 2. Passes, about 2-1 for Bayern Munich. Completed was almost 3-1. And set plays, 10 corners to 2. Free kicks, 14-5. Defending, goal preventions, 31-1 for Auckland City. Forced turnovers, 54-44 in favor of Bayern Munich. 195 pressing applied to 323, and so that was your stat breakdown in that one. And yeah, the 31-1 in shots. I think a lot of folks were focused on that, but we're going up there. I'm going up there. We'll be up there on Thursday, and we'll catch up with them before they fly down to Orlando for their next matchup. We'll find out what the morning practice is like. And we'll see what it's been like for these guys who've gotten their sample of Tennessee barbecue and things like that. But now we'll go up there on Thursday, and we'll let you know what's going on there over the weekend. Okay, today, 3 matches, 3, 6, and 9. Chelsea and LAFC kicks things off, and that one is at 3 o'clock at Mercedes-Benz. We'll see what the crowd is supposed to be like. Boca Juniors and Benfica is at 6. Flamengo and Esperance de Tunisie, they are at 9 o'clock at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia. For those of you that get DAZN UK, Jess Charman is going to be on the call with that one with Danny Higginbotham. So Jess literally is going to be going from stadium to airport to stadium to airport to stadium to airport. We'll try and catch up with her as much as we can. I think we'll be catching up with her in the Philadelphia airport tomorrow in the A block. So we'll find out what's going on with Jess as things continue to peruse and pursue for her. All right, so let's hear from some of the particulars heading into the match. Yesterday, it was a chance for a lot of the press conferences and catching up with folks and all that. I asked Enzo Maresca when Chelsea was having their opportunity with the press, what concerns him the most about this matchup, and what is he the most confident about in this matchup? Here's his answer.
I'm never confident. I'm never, I don't know if it's something good or something bad, but I think because of the technology, today any game can be difficult. We know each other. They can watch many games about us. We can watch many games about them. So every game becomes very complicated. They are, for me, a good team, good player. Of us, Bounga, they are different, very good player. And overall, it's a good team. And as I said before, for me, now every game can be, can be difficult, can be a tough game.
The gentleman over here.
Follow-up question.
So, Peter Lennox from FIFA.com. We've spoken to a couple of the LAFC players and the coach, and they're very excited, very motivated about this match. How do you approach that challenge of coming up against a team who are so excited to play you, so motivated to go out and get a result?
Yeah, we had one competition this season that has been the Conference League. That the most difficult thing was every game to convince players that probably for the other team was the game of the season. So if you don't prepare in the right way, you can be in trouble. And again, tomorrow we have a game where if we are not ready, if we are not prepared, we can be in trouble. So we need to prepare that 100%. And no matter who is the other team, when you are a Chelsea player and Chelsea manager, you need to win games. So tomorrow, hopefully, we can start this competition winning our game.
Enzo Maresca, head coach at Chelsea, getting ready for LAFC. And as a part of the pre-gathering, we get the opportunity to catch up with players. Here's Malo Gusto's thoughts about getting ready for this competition and getting ready for LAFC.
How's it been so far?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. It's good. I just arrived 2-3 days ago. Now the most important for us is to be ready for tomorrow. So we trained well yesterday, 2 days ago as well. So yeah, we're ready for tomorrow.
How do you feel about the competition? Obviously, it's been at the end of a very, very long season, but obviously trying to make it into a big thing with the prize money and obviously all the teams involved. How do you feel about being here?
Yeah, as you say, a very long season. As everyone knows now, football be even worse in terms of games and stuff. But us, because we are players, we just have to be ready. It can be a good competition for the club, for Chelsea, for me as a player. So I'm happy to play this competition. I'm happy to play and to try to win.
Malo Gusto for Chelsea getting ready for LAFC. On the flip side, we caught up with Frankie Amaya and Aaron Long. Ask Aaron Long about prepping for Chelsea and how much of it has to do with prepping yourself and focusing more on yourself, considering you're in mid-season and Chelsea's season's over. Here's a bit of our conversation that we had with Aaron Long yesterday.
There's a little bit of middle ground. A team like Chelsea, you're not going to have enough time to fully prepare, especially with us having a week or so now and the travel. So you're not going to fully know these players. It's not like we've played them a ton of times. We've all seen them on TV, but I think it's a little bit of a mix of us doing what we do well, limiting our mistakes in those moments because we know that they're so good and they can capitalize on those moments. But yeah, of course, we're gonna look for a couple tendencies and things that we can try to exploit if we're at our best and ways that we can not hurt ourselves. Yeah.
Aaron Long from LAFC, and we also caught up with Frankie Amaya along those same lines about what it's like going up against Chelsea in a tournament like this, prepping for Chelsea in a tournament like this. And here's his answer to our question.
Yeah, I think it kind of sunk in already. You know, watching video against Chelsea is something new. We don't really have that on our expectations, but obviously we're in the tournament now, and we're ready to compete against any team, and it gives us good confidence to try and win some games and get out of the group.
All right, Frankie Amaya, Aaron Long, and Malo Gusto, and Enzo Maresca, head coach of Chelsea, getting ready for the activity at 3 o'clock this afternoon at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, Club World Cup, and you can catch it on your favorite providers. You can also get it on DAZN. You can sign up for a free account because all of the matchups for DAZN are free as a part of airing this tournament. So you can sign up for a free account at DAZN. Right now, I don't know if it's a traffic issue or not, but I'm having better luck watching it on my mobile device than I was watching it here in the office yesterday on the Big 55. I don't know if that's just traffic and folks wanting to go and they're rushing to DAZN to watch it certain ways, but I actually was having better luck on the mobile device watching the matchup on DAZN yesterday than I was watching it otherwise. Okay, juice boxes for today. Chelsea a minus 500, by the way, in the matchup to kick things off in group play today. LAFC is a plus 1118, and your draw is a plus 597. The 6 o'clock matchup, Boca Juniors and Benfica. Benfica is a minus 179. Your draw is a plus 300. Boca Juniors is a plus 490. Your nightcap, Flamengo and Esperance de Tunis. Flamengo a minus 263. Your draw is a plus 359. And Esperance de Tunis with Jessica Charman, Danny Higginbotham on the call for DAZN UK is a plus 821. It is hour number 2. And so that means we get to talk about one of the other competitions. We are going to talk cards and calls because there is stuff going on involving cards and calls that we do have to go through once again. Fun with VAR, and waiting for the After the VAR studio news dump that's going to happen 8 days after the fact of this particular match involving Atlanta United. We'll talk about that last because that's furthest down the calendar. Let's talk Gold Cup. This is where we bring in Bart. And Bart, is it true that when Haiti and Saudi Arabia play, you may as well just throw out the record book?
Well, they played a game of soccer that. Well, let me rephrase. They played a game where they kicked a ball. It was a lot. I won't give Haiti credit. They looked like a competent team, knowing what they wanted to do in certain situations. Way more so than another Caribbean team I'm sure we'll talk about real quick.
Yeah.
But that was it was a game.
So there were thousands of games across the planet, and that was one of them.
That was one of them. Yes, John.
Yes. And looking at the attendance figures, I don't have in front of me the announced attendance figure at Snapdragon, but it did look like it was pretty much friends and family watching Haiti.
Yeah. Let me take a beat on that, John, if you don't mind. We did have, obviously, the U.S. play in PayPal Park, which, if you're not familiar with the state of California, is a few hundred miles north of Snapdragon in San Jose and San Diego, respectively. I found it a little odd that the United States, the host nation, played in a much smaller venue, 18,000 seats compared to, 32,000?
Yeah.
So quite a bit smaller, not quite half, but quite a bit. On the opening day, on a Sunday. That was a choice by CONCACAF. Now, granted, it's not like the USA packed PayPal Park by any stretch. But I do think that was an interesting decision that they made. If you did notice also, John, they're not doing as many doubleheaders this year, which probably a good thing. I think the doubleheader does cheapen the tournament's perspective. But kind of the problem when you don't do a doubleheader against two teams that or two games that aren't drawing well.
Yeah, and I think it was 12,000. I think was the number that was posted for PayPal Park in the United States yesterday.
And that was 12,000 who paid. I don't know if there were 12,000 in the stadium.
Yeah, it started off. The tournament started off with Mexico and the Dominican Republic. And I said in hour number one, I said I'll give the Dominican Republic a lot of credit.
Absolutely.
For hanging in there and scoring finally. And then just when you thought that it was 2-1, it gets to 3-1. They didn't give up. They scored again to make it 3-2.
Correct.
They made a game of it.
Yeah, I thought for a debutante, they looked really good. And I do want to say, if you've been watching CONCACAF, that's not particularly surprising that Dominican Republic looked okay. I don't want to say they looked good, but they looked okay. They have had some good success at the youth level, and they're finally seeing that pay off at the senior level. Is this a blip on the radar, or is this a new powerhouse in the Caribbean emerging? We're not sure, but that island of Hispaniola is here. So good for both Haiti and Dominican Republic having competent soccer programs. That is only a good thing for CONCACAF.
Yes, and
I got that island right, correct? That's not Hispaniola, correct? Someone, if I didn't get that right, correct me.
It's Haiti and the Dominican Republic. It's the Isle of Hispaniola, according to our buddy, Chris Columbus. And then the crazy one was the last one of the night. Legitimately, Costa Rica and Suriname, they waited until the 103rd minute before a peak gives you your goal number 7 and a 4-3 win for Costa Rica.
I had Costa Rica easily winning second place in this group. Ooh. And I still think that is possible, but I don't know, man. Like, that's a struggle if you're telling me that they're going to go up against the Dominican Republic in this group and have to keep them at bay. You gave up 3 goals to Suriname in multiple fashions, so I'm not concerned for Costa Rica. I am questioning them. How about that?
Okay. So just to go over the attendances as brought to us by our friends at Soccer America, and we'll get into soccer.
Oh, you got it. Good.
Yeah.
I couldn't find it, John. I was just like, well, they tweeted it, so that must be it.
Yeah. So PSG.
Someone tweeted it.
Yes, PSG and ATLUTD 80,619. Messi and friends in Al Ahly at Hard Rock just under 61,000.
Yeah.
Mexico, Dominican Republic at SoFi just over 54. Palmeiras and Porto at the Meadowlands 46,275. Seattle and Botafogo just around 31,000. Gold Cup. Mexico, Dominican Republic in Inglewood at 54,309 once again. U.S. and Trinidad 12,610 at PayPal Park. 12,610.
Not great.
And then for Saudi Arabia and Haiti and Costa Rica and Suriname, the doubleheader at Snapdragon 7,736. I don't know if that's combined or tickets sold and you got in for both.
So if you add 7,000.
Yeah.
Plus 12,000.
So that's,
I guess that's a little bit bigger than what would have fit into PayPal. So
20,346.
Maybe they should have just played both of them down in San Diego.
Well, all thrhree of them, because remember you got your Saudi Arabia, Haiti, Costa Rica, Suriname, day-night double.
Well, that's a totally different group, but maybe I don't know.
So yes, 20,346 was your combined attendance for those three matches in the Gold Cup.
They have not asked me to consult on their tournament organizing, John.
Yeah.
So until they pay me to give them ideas, I'm not going to give them ideas.
Okay. Well.
But they should do better.
Yes. Well, so then let me
specifically ticket pricing.
Yes. Yeah. No doubt. So since we're in attendance figures, there was a double header at Soldier Field with the Red Stars and with the Fire, 26,942 to see Stars and then see Nashville and Chicago.
Yeah, I think this is a good day for Chicago soccer, a city that soccer fandom that has kind of needed some good publicity. They're getting more of it in the past couple of weeks with obviously Mansueto announcing a privately funded soccer stadium. I'm sure he will get plenty of tax breaks, but privately funded. And with Chicago Stars. I almost said it. Announcing intentions maybe to use the Northwestern. Now, I personally, if I were Chicago Stars, I would just team up with Mansueto and say, hey, can we go in on this and figure out how to...
Can we party with you?
Yeah. Mainly just because I think that will be a better location for the whole soccer fandom. But anyway, good turnout for both of those games. I think if you're an NWSL team like Chicago, who hasn't fully built up a great fan base, it's a good way to get some latent soccer fans to say, oh, yeah, there's another soccer team in town. And if you're the Fire, there's also a hardcore supporters group of the Stars that maybe you can win a couple of them over to come into some Fire games on occasion. Obviously, you're going to need some tickets, season ticket deposits to pay back for the stadium you're about to build. But I love to see it, John. I think a lot of NWSL teams should do more of this where they can.
USA, Trinidad and Tobago, Malik Tillman scores in the 16th and the 41st. Big Pat scores in the 44th. And then it's 3 in the first, 2 in the second. Brendan Aronson scores in the 82nd. Haji Wright in the 84th. We'll have highlights after your segment. So 5 on the board. End your 14 losing streak with a 5-0 win. And you go in with a 3-0 lead after conceding 4 against Switzerland before the break from 30,000 feet. Mm-hmm. What are your takeaways here?
Well, I think first off, you have to just be glad that the losing streak is over.
Yeah.
I think that's the number one takeaway is you came out and responded to a bad performance on Tuesday with a pretty good performance today or yesterday. And that alone is the positive. Now, I think you have to caveat this with it's Trinidad and Tobago, and they only have one good player on their team, and his name is Jay Fortune. And that is there you go. that is, I think, the struggle with analyzing this game is as we are in that CONCACAF group stage opponent type setting where, yes, Trinidad is going all out to try to win, obviously, and they did play a much better second half. But did anyone impress me and go, oh, this guy proved he belongs in the first 26, the guys that are going to get called in for next summer? A couple, but I think you still, again, have to caveat that with, okay, well, we need to see whoever that person is do it against slightly better competition, which, to be fair, they will get, John, on Thursday. And I think that's okay, we like it. You did what you're supposed to do. Let's see what happens against a better team in Saudi Arabia on Thursday. No offense to Trinidad, but all praise to Jay Fortune.
So should it have been more from the U.S. men's national team in your mind?
I mean, sure, you can always say that, but 5 goals is a lot of goals to score, John. I think that's the first thing. I think they also had, I think concerningly, you gave up multiple opportunities, especially in that second half, almost conceded one. Matt Freese did make a really good save on, I think it was a cross, not quite a full shot, but one of those, like, I'm just going to whip this toward the back post and see what happens. And I think that was concerning. But overall, 5 goals is good, especially in a tournament where goal difference is going to matter eventually. I think it's fair to say that you feel very much in the driver's seat looking at Saudi only winning 1-0 over Haiti, because now you have a little bit of cushion. Even if you lose to Saudi Arabia and you take care of Haiti by a wide margin on Sunday, or if you tie Saudi Arabia and you just hold serve on Sunday as well, it gives you a little bit of wiggle room to advance to the next round as the winner of the group, because you got the 5 goals. I don't know if you would have got more. 5 is a lot.
6 shots saved, 5 of them fairly easily. 10 more attempts off target, 70% of the possession in this matchup. Matt Freese gets a 5. You mentioned the Nathaniel James chance also going straight at Matt Freese, but they said Freese spent most of the game as a spectator, so he gets a 5.
Sure. I guess if that's their angle, then fine. Like, I agree to some extent. I thought he was good when he needed to be. So, yeah.
Yes. There you go. Defenders. Max Arston attacks early and often, crossed inconsistently, and should have buried his 18th minute shot that keeper Marvin Phillip reached. Arston shot even more weakly to Phillip in the 46th before a shot flew over the crossbar. Alex Freeman, first half slide tackle, ended a rare T&T appearance. Had his chance to score in the 36th with a wide-open header, set up Sebastian Berhalter, twice stopped with crude fouls. Tim Ream, Chris Richards, rarely called on. Ream read Kevin Molino's pass to end a counterattack in the first half, given plenty of space. Everybody got 6s except for Arston, who got a 4.
So it's funny because on the FOTMob app, Arston got a lot of love. He's got a 9.0 because he has multiple... he created the most chances in the match and had 2 assists. I guess they're crediting him for that. But I think this is the problem with Max Arston is I think he's very inconsistent and not very good defensively. And that wasn't really tested this game because Trinidad didn't really do a whole lot going forward. But I agree more with what is it Mike Votala who said that, or was it someone else?
Let's see who gives out the grades this time. Yeah, it was Votala.
Okay. I kind of agree more with him. I'm just not seeing it from Arston, and I think I'm concerned that John Tolkien isn't starting and playing more because we've watched John Tolkien for a while, and while he may not be the smartest person who's ever walked this earth, he is a pretty darn good soccer player. I think it's fair to say, John. I don't know. You've analyzed him probably a little bit more from an MLS perspective than I have, but he looks like a more competent soccer player. But I think in these games, Arston's weaknesses are not going to be exposed. He's not a great defender. Well, we didn't defend a whole lot against Trinidad, and luckily for him, he got the. I'm not going to say it. He was able to cross a lot, and so therefore he had a lot of bad crosses. He also had some good crosses that ended up doing it. I almost made a Brooks Lennon comment. I did not.
Yeah, I knew you were going there. Yeah.
I could make a Brooks Lennon comment though. About Trinidad, about that goal that Diego or Pat Auguming scored, or was that Tillman who scored that? But Diego Luna taking the ball off of a terrible back pass and setting up. I believe that was our second goal. I think that was who was their back? Was it Powder or Garcia who gave it up? And I looked at that, and we all in the bar were like, "Wow, that goal looked familiar."
Let's see. So breaking everything down, the second goal, Diego Luna set up Arfston's big first half chance, intercepted the back pass to set up Tillman for the easy finish. So it was Luna with the interception to set up Tillman.
Tillman was, yeah. I thought Tillman was great. I'm sure we'll get to him in a second.
Yes, we are. Midfield. McGlynn refusing to shoot with his right foot from close range turned out okay because he chipped the ball at Malik Tillman for an easy finish.
John, Houston Dynamo tweeted about that, and they're like Jack serves it up or something like that. And I'm like, if that's what you want to call what that just happened, sure. Bro, use your right foot. Because even at that point, it's just swing at it and see what happens. Oh, man. Good patience, though, I guess. Good patience.
Perfect cross-field ball to Diego Luna for a 1v1 that Philip blocked. Similar ball by McGlynn was headed straight to the keeper by Alex Freeman.
Yeah.
Then you get Luna fouled after splitting two defenders in the first, continued to torment. We mentioned goal number 2. Luna created another goal 3 minutes later when he shot after his slick move made Molino stumble. Welcome to the club. It hit the net via Ajimang's deflection, and that was crazy. That the deflected goal for number 3.
Yeah.
It wasn't initially picked up, but yeah, it was deflected by Ajimang, and then it went 5-hole on the defender, and then it went to the back of the net.
Someone's been watching the Florida Panthers, so.
Well, yeah, absolutely true. Tillman sent.
Sorry to any Oilers fans in the chat. But,
yeah,
that was very much a hockey goal, John. Yep. That was shoot the puck and see what happens. So.
Yes. Berhalter contributed to the midfield cohesion, and his clever pass to De La Torre would have created a U.S. chance. De La Torre not overhit his pass to Ajimang. In the 5-man midfield, De La Torre failed to find a role. McGlynn gets a 7, De La Torre a 5, Malik Tillman an 8, Berhalter a 6, Luna an 8.
I think it was a bit harsh on De La Torre. I agree that mentioned that pass, he kind of slipped and he messed up his weight. I feel like De La Torre he was playing a much more defensive role in this game, and that's like nominally he was a little deeper than Berhalter was, but defending not really the issue in this game. I feel like De La Torre has grown up a lot, which sounds weird because he's not by any stretch been young, but at 27, moving back to the States and taking on what feels like a bigger leadership role at San Diego has helped him just feel like he's the grown-up in that midfield, especially because, look, you've got Berhalter, Tillman, McGlynn, Luna. Those are young guys. Berhalter's not that young, but a lot of those guys are pretty young when you look at their, especially in their soccer careers. Right. And so I think De La Torre is kind of just like the grown-up there to keep things calm and keep things moving. And I think that's a testament to, I'm not saying everyone has to do this, but him moving back to MLS where he is required to be an actual producer for his club, or at least contributor on and off the field.
Get back here and produce and defend, sir.
I know, but do you get what I'm saying, John? I think when he was at Celta Vigo, he wasn't like a passenger, but he just had to worry about showing up and playing his game well. I think now at San Diego, he's got to think about more than just playing soccer well.
Forwards, Patrick Ajimang, shot headed wide from close range within 11 minutes. 16th minute, stole the ball at the top, set up the opening goal. 6'4" center forward, scored his 4th career goal, somewhat fortuitously. The second half shot wide and straight to Phillips. Yeah. Big Pat got a 6, according to Woitala.
I guess he scored, but I got to be real honest, John. It was very frustrating to watch him. He had some good moments where he controlled the ball in the box. He had a lot of moments where the ball banged off his foot. And I think the problem with Pat is right now, that is as of June 16th, 2025, he does not have the control needed to be a reliable striker, because the problem with the U.S. national team is we do not create against good teams a lot of chances. And he seems like a guy who, if you lump the ball into him a few times, if you hit it at his feet a few times, something will happen eventually. But he doesn't seem reliable enough to make that happen consistently. And so if you're just going to be a guy who requires a whole lot of passing or crossing, it's not going to work well for this U.S. national team, because we just don't serve our strikers well enough. In this game, it's okay. I think Pochettino loves his height, his supposed strength, although he got bodied all the time in the games last week. Yeah. The problem is I don't want to see Brian White, right? So I'll at least ride with a guy who's a little bit younger and earlier in his career, like Pat Augumeng, or maybe we'll see some Damian Downs, or we put Haji Wright as an actual striker. But if the option is you see Brian White or Pat Augumeng, I'll see Pat. But I didn't love it, and I think that's the frustrating part. Is the attack doesn't die when it gets to him, but it doesn't seem like it's fluid through him enough. And maybe that is a little bit him learning and growing, right? I don't think Charlotte necessarily is playing this type of way with him, but it's not like Dean Smith is some guy who's going to sit back and just bunker and count. I mean, that's not who Charlotte is.
No, Dean just complained.
Well, he's good at that, John.
Did I say that out loud?
But if you're running a four corners offense, wrong sport. But I just think he needs to improve his ball control a lot more. And unfortunately, at his age, which is 24, it's not like that's just going to naturally come. And that's my concern with Pat.
Bart Keeler, Soccer for USPod, dropping by after the opening weekend of the Gold Cup, which includes a 5-0 win for the U.S. against Trinidad and Tobago. Subs, Brendan Aronson passed Sheldon Bateau near the end line to set himself up for a shot that handcuffs Phillip to make it 4. Haji Wright also gets past Bateau, puts his low shot into the corner to make it 5. Brendan Aronson gets a 6. Haji Wright gets a 6. McKenzie, Aronson, and Miles Robinson each get 5s as your subs.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think the subs, it's hard to judge the subs in this game. One, they came on really late, which I do wonder, John, how much of this game was a little bit of pre-rotation, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Just because, again, no offense to Trinidad, no offense to Jay Fortune specifically, not exactly the hardest team you're going to face. In fact, I would argue this is the easiest team you'll face in the group. And while you want to start off strong and you want to start off with a big win, you also are aware that Thursday's game against Saudi Arabia is the linchpin game of the group. If you win that, especially now that you beat Trinidad, if you win that, you're on 6 points. You're in the driver's seat, right? And I do wonder how much of this was, all right, we'll play these guys a little more, because I think the first subs came at the 70th minute, somewhere in that round, 74th. Yeah, I think they got up there at minutes like 70.
Yeah. They stood around 4 minutes.
Yeah. They did, actually. It was kind of funny, which happens. I think that was – I'm not saying all the guys who subbed on are necessarily going to be guys who are starting on Thursday, but I do think it was a little bit of pre-rotation. I think it's telling that Tim Ream went all 90. I don't know what that's telling of. My hope is that it means that he's not going to be the guy starting against Saudi Arabia, that we will have someone else partnering with Chris Richards. My concern is that means that Tim Ream is still the guy on that back line, and we are in the year of our Lord 2025, and Tim Ream is 37, and we need to stop relying on Tim Ream. But I'm just curious. I don't know what it means, because we'll see on Thursday, but I'm wondering how much of that was a little bit of pre-rotation to get guys on the field who may not be playing on Thursday. And one of those might be Max Arston, who did play all 90, and that's another guy that I'm wondering if he is our starter against a much better team that will probably require us to actually play defense.
Yep. Matt Freese played the full 90. Freeman played the full 90. Chris Richards subbed out in the 87th for Miles. Ream and Arfston played the full 90. McGlynn subbed out in the 74th from a standing McKenzie. Delatorre subbed in the 83rd for Paxton Aronson. Tillman, Berhalter played the full 90. Diego Luna subbed out in the 74th for the other Aronson. And Pat Ajumong is subbed out for Haji Wright in the 74th minute from a standing on the sidelines. Haji Wright.
Yeah, so we just don't know, but I do think all the subs still. I actually think, I mean, it's telling that we did score after the subs came on 2 goals. And I think that is, one, a product of, it wasn't hot. They said it was like 78, but that sun was bright, and it did seem like that was taken. You could kind of tell as those subs came on in the 74th that there were guys like a little tired. And so I think that extra injection of energy helped. But Aronson and Wright coming on and immediately impacting the game, again, I think that might be a little telling for what we see on Thursday.
Stats, shots 21-3, 11-2 on target, 6 saves for Trinidad and Tobago compared to 2 for Matt Freese. 14 corners, 10 to the U.S., 19 fouls, 10 to the U.S.
Yeah.
4 offside on the day, 3 to the U.S., 70-30 on possession.
Look, I thought our corners were decent in the fact that we actually created a couple chances off of them. One, I mean, Freeman, I think, was the one who had like a direct header that he missed, unfortunately for him. You give him that again, I have a feeling that might be a goal. But there were a couple others that were like, okay, we'll swing it back post and head it back across the goal. And I think that was good, John, especially if, look, again, I think it's fair to say we will be able to have a similarly controlled performance against Haiti. Can you do that against Saudi? And if one of those is you get a lot of corner kicks, you got to make something of them.
2 most recent Gold Cup matches against TNT, the U.S. won 6-0 both in 19 and in 23. Yeah. Malik Tillman's first ever U.S. jersey goals against Trinidad and Tobago.
If you had been listening to Soccer for Us, you would have heard what you have. But I'm just saying, if you had been listening, you would have heard my partner Thomas talk a lot about Malik Tillman not scoring yet. And again, we've been dogging Josh Sargent, but Tillman is a guy who plays in a position where a goal should happen on occasion. And good to see him finally get that. And again, I do think to some extent, the topic of conversation seems to be on U.S. Soccer Twitter of, okay, if we're giving Pat Augiming all these minutes against not great teams, which most of the Gold Cup teams aren't great teams.
Right.
But we've never given Josh Sargent that opportunity. And so we dog him for not have scored since 2019. Well, he hasn't really played a whole lot of those. One, he's been hurt, and he hasn't played a lot of these CONCACAF, I don't want to call them minnows, but, you know, whatever the middle tier fish is.
Lower ranked team.
Yeah, the sea bass. He ain't playing them. So I don't know if that's a good
He's playing the Tetris
analogy.
I
don't deep sea fish, John.
Well, no, I don't either. That's why I said Tetris from the aquarium. A sea anemone is what you're looking at.
Yeah. So I do think it's one of those conversations of I'm glad Tillman got it. Hopefully he continues to have this form throughout the tournament because we need him, John. We need him to be a guy who can perform and produce for the U.S. national team because the talent is there. He just won Player of the Year for his club over in Europe. How do we get that player for the U.S. national team? Because if we can, that's some needed depth that we do not have right now in the midfield.
Correct. U.S. continues Group D play Thursday against Saudi Arabia at Q2. Wraps it up on Sunday in Arlington, Haiti. All right. We got to get into cards and calls because, like I said, it was stuff that drives people crazy. And since it drives me crazy, we have to talk about it. Let's go back to Atlanta United and inside the bar studio, and it was. Let me see if I had. I think I still have the moment. So please, yeah. So here is what went down 4 days ago, courtesy of 92.9 The Game and the Odyssey app.
For the top here for TRA. Romero off his line and takes TRA down inside the 18. No penalty. It rolls into the far corner to Riza. TRA is still down.
It didn't look like Romero got the ball at all.
No, that looked like now it's in center field. That's 400 feet away from us, but it looked like a clear penalty.
The flight of the ball didn't change. I don't think Romero got a touch on the ball.
No.
And it looked like he got some at TRA. I don't know how that's not a penalty.
TRA is still down as play continues. Riza nearly gave it away to Will Riley. It rolls back to Hack behind the halfway line.
TRA's going to force the issue here and make them take a look.
Well, TRA is finally back on his feet now as New York City, to use a Johnny Most term, kind of fiddles and diddles with it, waiting for him to get back up. And now they have stopped play. They have stopped play for what?
They're probably going to take a look at this.
Yeah, they took a look at it all right. They took a look at it all right.
For about 17 minutes, it felt like.
Yeah. And the point that we always make is the longer that something is in VAR, the more I feel that they are looking for something or a reason not to call something or to call something different.
I mean, I don't understand how this wasn't a penalty. And you can't even say, oh, well, the call on the field wasn't a penalty because, one, I think the call on the field should have been a penalty. I think Romero very clearly trips him from behind and very clearly does not get, I don't even want to say enough of the ball. Like, calling that getting the ball is...
Yeah.
That's just, I think, incorrect. In my opinion. Now, is that enough to save him? I just don't think so either because, again, okay, well, if I get the ball but then still trip you from behind as you're running to the ball, like if I get a touch on the ball, which is what happens, but that touch does not dispossess you, because I think it's very fair to say TRA is still in possession of this ball, or at least within realms of controlling it, right?
Yeah.
But then you trip him from behind to the point where he's not even able to then go play said ball.
Yeah.
That is still within his playable distance, if you will. I don't get this, John. I just don't get it. I'm going to be just honest. I don't get it.
And to the larger point, last time I checked, in situations like this, it has to be a clear and obvious error for it to be reversed.
And that's the problem, is the call on the field was not a penalty. Now, I don't see where the clear and obvious, I don't see where the evidence is to support the call on the field at all. I think there's way more evidence that supports that this was a penalty.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you have a referee who doesn't want to admit he's wrong. And I will say this, I think the goal of VAR is to go through the process to check if there is a clear and obvious error, right? The video assistant referee's job is to look at the footage and go, is this clear and obvious? And if they think it is a clear and obvious error, that is when they're going to send down to the referee and say, hey, you need to look at this, because they need to be the final decision maker in calls like this. And so that's what bothers me, is VAR should send this down if it is a clear and obvious error, or at least hey, this looks like an error.
Yeah, take
right?
take a look. Yeah.
And in theory, that means that it is the referee going, oh, yeah, okay, I did miss that. Because, again, this should be a tool for referees to get the call right.
Yeah.
You know, and to give yourself a second look and say, oh, I did get that. Because, one, I don't think his positioning was good at all to see if this was or wasn't a foul. I don't know what communication he had with his AR either. I would love to hear that, because I'm sure the AR on that side had some input.
Yeah.
But either way, I don't understand how you look at this and go, you know, and maybe it's giving the goalkeeper the biggest benefit of the doubt of, oh, well, he touched the ball. But I agree with Derek. If Brad had done that, it's a penalty. And I think that's the other thing of where this team is right now. We don't even get stone cold penalties called for us, you know.
Yeah, you don't get calls.
We don't get anything.
Nope.
And that is, you know, that's just where you are right now. Now, it doesn't matter, because we're going to give up a goal anyway.
Well.
But yes, David, that is to me, the thing is when you send it to the monitor, when you tell the on-field referee to say, hey, you need to take a look at this, that to me is a very clear indication that they think there was a clear and obvious error committed, or clear and obvious error in the call.
Yeah.
And it's giving the referee a chance to look at it, review it, and say, okay, yes, that is. And he said, yeah, I'm right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
After several minutes. I mean, that's the other thing is...
And that's the other element in this, too.
It took so long for you to go, yeah, I'm right.
Yeah.
If you're that sure of yourself, then you should have been able to watch 1 or 2 replays and go, yeah, no, he got the ball. We're good.
And that is one of the overarching points for me in this process, is that you are looking at something 2.5, 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And if it is supposed to be a clear and obvious error, clear and obvious means, once again, oh, clear and obvious, boom, 1, 2 looks, 30 seconds, you're done. Instead of giving the impression that you are looking for a reason not to call something or a reason to reverse the call by looking at it over and over and over again and turning it into the Zapruder film.
Well, and I think, I forget who mentioned it on the radio broadcast. I think it was Mike, who has a lot of experience calling games in a lot of different arenas. Mentioned that he thinks that New York City, being in a baseball stadium, the angles are just terrible. And I think Jason basically confirmed that.
They are.
And I get that. Obviously, because it's a baseball stadium and the camera angles are set up for baseball. Reportedly, there is a baseball team that plays in that stadium. So I do think that plays a little bit of a factor here because we didn't get but even still, I'm looking at all the angles and you go, okay, well, where's the angle that shows he didn't foul him?
Right.
I don't get it.
No,
I don't get it.
I mean, and especially the angle from behind, from through the net behind, you see the foul happening again.
Yep.
And you're blocked out from any kind of visual of contact with Romero and the ball. So you miss out on that element of the discussion. From the one from behind, yet you can surmise from behind the shot from behind through the net that there was either contact or something from there. The offside call in a later element, you're looking at, and for me, when Derek was, having a bit of an elevated discussion with Jamal, I'm like, okay, Derek saw it looked like Jamal was
it was very clear to me that Jamal, I think, again, John and Jason are 700 yards away, it feels like, in that because of where they're set up.
Yeah.
So they're, I mean, if you listen to the radio call, which I got the chance to listen to those two wonderful broadcasters, they were irate. And because they couldn't tell that Jamal touched the ball, I think eventually they realized, okay, yes, Jamal did touch it, and so that kind of eased their anger. It's still a very close offside call. But, if you're Chiare, I will agree that if, you can say, oh, he shouldn't have touched it. That's not his job as a striker. And he doesn't know he was offside. He thought he may have played it well. I mean, because it was close.
His job is to put the ball in the net. If it's an opportunity to do that, then you're going to do it.
And again, he was fairly close. I mean, it wasn't like it was a clear cut, oh, he's offside. You looked at it and go, oh, yeah, he's off. But it wasn't, it was maybe a foot. I mean, that sincerely. We wish he wouldn't have. But, it's just, again, how things are going for this team right now. Where even a guy making a good play ends up hurting his team.
Last topic that I wanted to get into with cards and calls has to do with the demonstrative nature of officials. And what I mean by that is, in a venue like Yankee Stadium, you have Sergi Boyko, the man in the middle for this one. And Boyko was late in his administering of the whistle.
Yes, he was.
And also, he was not very authoritative.
Correct.
In the administering of the whistle. And what I mean by that is where, first off, well, if you're late making calls at the 106 by 68, you're really, I mean, you've got to be on it in the U12 futsal pitch in the Bronx. You've got to be on it. You've got to be on top of it. You've got to be right there. You can't wait 5 or 6 seconds after a foul and blow a whistle. You've got to be immediate, just because of that space being as truncated as it is. I think you need a special personality of official in that building that can match the chaotic nature of what you're seeing and can match the back and forth. You need to have a type A personality in that building to match the type A soccer that's going on in that building.
So I'm going to disagree with you a little bit, John.
Sure.
Because I do think that when you're playing on these small fields, as I have refereed a lot of small fields before.
Yeah.
So one, you should always be slightly delayed on your whistle. You don't want to immediately go, because you are looking for, is there an advantage?
Yeah.
So you're always going to go, foul? Yes. Here we go.
Okay.
Unless it's a very egregious foul. Like, obviously, we need to then stop it. But I think in a lot of these smaller fields, you think, oh, man, well, they're close to goal. I need to maybe possibly let this play. But I agree that the other problem there was the whistle was very meh.
And that's the other part in that I wanted to get into, is that when you're in an emotionally elevated situation, like it is with that chaos, you've got to hit that whistle hard. You've got to be like, wah! You can't just sit there and go, dude, you can't do that.
Yeah.
You've got to be on. You've got to be on it emotionally with that whistle, and you've got to be authoritative to assert that, yes, with everything that's going on around you, yes, it was, and you've got to go bang. You can't just go beep. And
I would like to see, I need to go back and actually look what type of whistle he was using.
Yeah.
Because it felt like he wasn't even using a normal whistle like a lot of the other referees that are just naturally loud to begin with. Because at the professional level, you choose a whistle, I mean, at any level, but especially at the pro level or college level or whatever, you need a whistle that is going to carry also and be loud for you so that you don't have this issue, right? Then you also have the mechanics to blow it loudly to make sure that you're heard. Maybe he thought that with the 12 people in attendance that it wouldn't be that big of an issue. That is not shade at New York City fans, by the way. Not throwing shade, just saying. They usually fill that place very well, but not Thursday at 7 o'clock. It's not their fault.
No.
But I think, maybe he thinks, oh, it's not as packed or whatever. Maybe he didn't think it was super loud. The problem is you're in a baseball stadium. Things do not carry or play out the way that you think they do. And I agree that he needed to be a little more authoritative with his whistle. And I think the delay was problematic because it wasn't like, okay, let me see if this incident results in an advantage. It was, okay, yes, the advantage was had. Oh, no, it was lost. Now we're coming back here. And that was weird to me because you usually don't, once you play through the advantage and you get that like initial action, usually my standard isn't necessarily time, but rather the player either who was fouled or that who got the ball immediately after the foul. Like say you tackle someone and dispossess your teammate if you still have it. If they then mess up or if they then are fouled or whatever, the defense challenges and takes it away, then we're going back. But as soon as it comes off of their foot to another player and that player has control, that's the advantage. And so to continue to then play and then go, oh no, we're coming back here is just so weird. And yeah, David, I genuinely would like, I would like to see it because it felt like he was using, and this is way too in the weeds and I don't think it is, but it felt like he was using either like a regular Fox 40, great whistle for my U13 games. But even above that, I use a Fox 40 Sonic Blast because it's just louder. And 15-year-olds are stupid and barely listen as it is and need to be, well, imagine you've got a bunch of overgrown 15-year-olds on a field because that's what some of these guys are. So there's a lot of some Acme and other whistles that are much louder. And so you look at some of these referees who are not using what looks like a normal whistle because the whistles are designed to be loud and shrieking. And so it didn't sound like that, to be just quite honest. It's like, oh my gosh, I forgot my whistle. I'm going to go back and use one of my smaller ones that you probably had as a backup. I don't know. It's weird.
Yes, very. All right. So obviously, with the next matchup on Thursday, does this mean that you will be somewhat visiting us on Friday?
I will be. I can be here Friday if you need me.
Okay. Well, I figured you come in for a segment to discuss everything because then
hopefully we're talking about another U.S. win.
Yeah, and we can break down everything else in Gold Cup to that point and get everything set up for Friday, which means that then on Monday we'll talk about everything in the end of the group.
So good luck to everyone who is volunteering at the games today and on Thursday.
Yeah.
So have fun. Treat everyone with the Southern hospitality that we have here in Atlanta. Make sure it is a enjoyable experience for these people coming in. I had John at the bar last night. We had two families come in to watch the U.S. game with us who were from out of town, which was really nice. We had one from Greenville, one from Raleigh. They were Chelsea fans, so we'll forgive them of that. But it was nice to have them, in town for that. It is cool, and a testament to, I think, the great soccer support we have here in the Southeast, which no one would believe you, John, but we'll keep shouting it from the rooftops that people here love soccer.
Yeah, that's kind of why we do what we do on a daily basis.
Right. It's like we have a whole network devoted to it. I don't know.
It's a network based in the Southeast talking soccer. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know.
So, we'll catch up with you on Friday. We'll get the breakdown of what happened at Q2 on Thursday night and set up the weekend. As always, my friend, thanks for dropping by on Mondays, going over cards and calls and chaos.
Y'all have a wonderful day.
Yes, and there he goes. Oh, what's the mug? So it's probably Arsenal or something. So that's what's going on. So he talks about the Chelsea fans. Bart does. Then he sits there and takes the sip out of the Arsenal mug and goes on with his day. At SoccerForUSPod, at Bartimus Prime 19, Bart Keeler hanging out with us on Mondays to go over cards and calls and chaos and national team stuff. Bart's going to be kind of busy with us, I would imagine, with Gold Cup that's going on. So in the spring of soccer that turns into the summer of soccer on Saturday, just in time for Manchester City and Al Ain to hit town. So the summer of soccer starts on Saturday. Say that 10 times fast. Okay, so as discussed, we actually do have some of the highlights from the matchup involving the USMNT. So this is courtesy of our friends at CONCACAF and FS1. Here's part of what went down. Joe Malfa on the call as the USMNT put 5 on Trinidad and Tobago.
Pressure here, getting the Trinidad and Tobago, slotted through. Jack McGlynn cuts it back, still McGlynn to the back post. Settled, Tillman scores! The opening goal of the Gold Cup for the United States belongs to Malik Tillman. It starts now the free kick, McGlynn. The header saved by Phillip. Diego Luna with some options. Luna centering Tillman, doubling his tally. And the United States doubling their lead. The press helps them earn 2 of their goals here. Luna read it well, stole it from Jones as he turned back, hoping to play to Phillip. Comes in Bateau. Luna cutting in. Luna going for goal, deflected and in. Sometimes things go your way. It was actually off of Anjiman. Wow.
There's your 5-hole deflection that we talked about. So 5-0 U.S. over Trinidad and Tobago. Once again, thanks to our friends at CONCACAF and FS1 for that. Today, once again, when it comes to your activity, 7-10, and it is going to be Mark Followell and Warren Barton on Panama and Guadalupe. That's at 7 o'clock. And then from Dignity Health Sports Park in Carson, California, Jamaica, and Guatemala with friend of the network, Tyler Terrens and Moa Dude. Dr. Joe is your rules analyst for both. 7 and 10 o'clock tonight on the Gold Cup. Your juice boxes. Panama is a minus 196 against Guadalupe. 90-minute draws a plus 313. Guadalupe is a plus 513. Your nightcap, Jamaica and Guatemala. Jamaica, a minus 133. Your draws a plus 252 in the composite, courtesy of our friends at Odds Portal. And Guatemala is a plus 3 84. So those are the numbers that are laid out with all of that. So let's see. Going back to the discussion about DAZN. Yes. Rich is in this morning. Yes. And yes, first of all, good morning. And then the Union top of the table with a gap to Southern champs. For those of you that might have missed the sound from Bradley Carnell discussing the fans from the past weekend, go back and watch that and what it has meant for him to see what has been going on there in Philadelphia, and considering how his end in St. Louis with all caps was somewhat ignominious, he is now getting the chance to do what he has been able to do this season in Philadelphia, or Philadelphia, as they might say up there at Chester. We'll go over the rest of the weekend in MLS tomorrow. Tomorrow, once again, 10 o'clock, it's going to be Ben Jacobs from Talk Sport. He's going to join us and talk about Club World Cup. He's in town, and we'll see what he thinks about what happens tonight. We'll talk about that with Ben Jacobs tomorrow. And we're efforting Jessica Charman because Jess is calling match number 3 tonight from the link for DAZN UK with Danny Higginbotham. And so she gets the matchup with Flamengo and Esperance de Tunis. She gets that one tonight. And so we will break that down with her, and we'll find out what's going on with Gold Cup and literally going from one place to another. It is for Jess, literally, it is match, airport, match, airport, match. Literally for the next 2 weeks, that's what Jess is doing. And so when she has got morning flights and she's in the airport and can catch up with us and do some preview stuff, we're hoping that starts tomorrow, that she will be in the Philadelphia airport and she can break down Flamengo and Esperance de Tunis. Once again, your juice boxes. The numbers have shifted a little bit. Chelsea's now down in the composite to a minus 476. Draws a plus 597, and LAFC is at plus 1125. Boca Juniors at 6 o'clock is a plus 492 going up against Benfica, who's a minus 179, draws a plus 301. Flamengo, the nightcap, is a minus 294 against Esperance, who is a plus 886. Your draw is a plus 383. Good morning, D. Graham. Rich said, and I was wondering because, like, legitimately, when it comes to mobile device, DAZN for me was fine. I was listening to Tony Husband and Steve McManaman calling the Auckland City Bayern Munich match yesterday. It was fine on the mobile device. But then I came inside and started watching on the Big 55, and it was hiccuping all over the place. And apparently, according to Rich, that's DAZN in general. Watch on there, and it's always a slow, clunky mess, and he always watches boxing. And Katie's like, yeah, I'm just going to call it Days In. DAZN's a silly name and a mid to bad platform. Legitimately, for me, when it comes to that particular streaming service, Morning Lokeville, by the way, if they did just a soccer package, I would probably be interested in seeing what the pricing is and maybe picking it up and adding it to everything that we have currently going on here in Office HD. But I don't want the boxing. I don't care. I don't want the UFC. I don't care. They had some cool lower division, like the National League playoffs. I would have watched that on DAZN. Obviously, I'm watching Club World Cup on DAZN when I have the opportunity to. But I'm not going to pay for the boxing, and I'm not going to pay for the combat sports. I'm not going to do it, so I'm not going to get DAZN. And until they come up with a soccer-only option, I'm not going to subscribe. So I will be the free me and watch on DAZN, and apparently watch it hiccup the entire time. Morning Lokeville, morning Derek. Derek is like, yeah, VAR is more spectacle than functional. Absolutely a pin. And yes, if Brad had done that, it would have been called. Yes, I don't think you're wrong. Gabe Schrei, and by the way, WPSL has 2 more weeks left in the regular season. Gabe calls the Chattanooga FC matches for the women's side. They had a win on the weekend against Atlanta Fire United. And so you can go back on the CFC YouTube channel and watch that as everybody's coming down the home stretch. Last night on the WPSL website, it was Maddie and Jason calling the Decatur FC shutout win over Georgia Impact at Cherokee. And that is the first of a back and forth with them, getting everything squared away with the end of the season. So you have matchups on the 20th. Drew Dickinson and I will have the matchup at Decatur High School Friday night. And then Chattanooga FC comes to Decatur to take on Decatur FC for the regular season finale. That's on the 27th. I will be with Drew on the 20th. I will be with the boss at her birthday gala on the 27th. So one more weekend for me doing regular season, at least on regular season Fridays, involving the WPSL. But next week, just to give you a reminder, after next Monday, so it will be 24th, 25th, 26th, and 27th, I will be doing the show remotely. We'll obviously have things to talk about. Atlanta United will be back in Columbus, and we'll be doing all the Oppo research and everything. But remember, just to give you a reminder, the background's going to look a little different in 8 days. For 4 days, because the boss and I and the Rowdy Man are going on vacation. So I'll be doing the show remotely next Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, just to give you a heads up there that, yes, things are going to look a little different. Reason I say that, once again, Gabe Schrei, who calls the CFC women's matches, you can catch his broadcasts and archive on the CFC website. And he is one of the folks that you listen to in the WPSL here this time of year. Not a fan of the use of the baseball venue himself when it comes to soccer facilities and pitches being laid out, or the long look from the soccer world. Yes, but you're also dealing with economics and trying to find venues, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with that. Yes, the whole conversation as far as the type of venues that are there. Yes, David. No, David did not have whistle selection and mechanics on the bingo card. Yeah, it was just something that, when we talk to Bart at times about reffing down here, there are just some things when it comes to personality. You need, for the rivalry matches, you need to have someone who's not going to take any ish. In those same situations, in heated environments, you need to have, and like I said, this is just my opinion, you need to have someone who's authoritative, confident in who they are, comfortable with who they are personality-wise, and is more than willing to sit there and go, "Wheat," and not just, "Dude." There's a difference. To me, there's just a difference in demeanor when you have something like that going on, and so that's why I wanted to get into that particular topic with Bart. Because, like I said, there are things that will just, that will kind of wander into the room, and you said, "Oh yeah, we got to talk about that," because it's things that we may not necessarily realize or know about, but at the same time, it's stuff that, oh yeah, that did happen. And so it's just, once again, it's food for thought that gets itself into the discussion on the whole. Yes, David, plus performance, absolutely true. Morning, Dell. And so Dell is in late this morning because Dell has like actual work and stuff. So let's kind of take the tour, let you know what's going on, gossip, rumor, and innuendo, what to watch, where to watch it, who to watch it. We'll get into that. Gareth Bale. I saw this morning. Gareth Bale apparently is now in a situation where it looks like he is trying to be a part owner in a takeover bid for Plymouth Argyle. I thought that was interesting. Plymouth Argyle. And this is according to our friends at Talk Sport. Gareth Bale will spearhead an attempted takeover of Plymouth Argyle, working with a private equity firm based in the United States. Telegraph claimed Plymouth and the investment group are in talks, with the latter eyeing full control of the League One side. Bale's involvement comes after Luka Modric became a minority owner in Swansea City. Plymouth, relegated from the championship, finishing 23rd in 24-25, begrudgingly had to let manager Miran Muslic join Schalke. Tom Cleverley was appointed as his replacement. Seventh manager to take over the Plymouth hot seat since owner Simon Hallett became the majority shareholder in 2018. Derek Adams was already in post when Hallett arrived. Ryan Lowe, Stephen Schumacher, Ian Foster, Wayne Rooney, and Muslic were the next three to fill the vacancy before Cleverley was announced last week. In May, Hallett wrote to Plymouth fans and commented on potential investment ahead of their League One campaign. "We've been in talks with a prospective new investor in our club for over a year." application for approval of the investment. Unfortunately, negotiations have taken too long. Key information that both we and the EFL required has not been forthcoming. I no longer believe that news of the new investor is imminent. And so Hallett continues to make the funds. Budget next season will be twice what we had last time we were in League One. These additional funds equate to the same level of financial support that was written into the investor plan for year one. So keep an eye out on Gareth Bale and Plymouth Argyle and an equity firm. Keep an eye out on those two things. So Gaza, Rumor, and Innuendo, BBC. Let's see if I can actually click the right year instead of talking about Mihajlo Mudryk like I did last week. Real Madrid hoping to snap up Ibrahima Konate on a free next summer when his contract is due to expire. Arsenal actively pursuing moves for Viktor Gyökeres and Benjamin Sesko, although will only sign one of those forwards. Arsenal think the asking price for Gyökeres is too high. They're going to focus on Sesko or Ollie Watkins. Rasmus Højlund emerged as a top target for Inter Milan. They've decided to keep hold of Joshua Zirkzee. United have made contact with representatives of Hugo Ekitike, who plays at Eintracht Frankfurt this past weekend. Chelsea, Villa, Spurs, all keeping tabs on Garnacho after the Argentine was told to find a new club, 4-letter paper. Al Hilal have improved their offer to Napoli striker and Manchester United target Victor Osimhen, proposing a deal with an annual salary worth up to £42.6 million. Milan have opened talks with Arsenal over signing Alexander Zinchenko. Multiple inquiries have been made from the Premier League and Serie A clubs about the availability of Bayer Leverkusen's Patrick Schick. That's from Florian Plettenberg at Sky Germany. That's a Tier 1 source. PSG have agreed to personal terms with Bournemouth defender Ilya Zabarny, and are now in talks over a fee. That's from Fabrizio Romano. Galatasaray made an offer for Barcelona keeper Marc-Andre ter Stegen. Porto want to buy Southampton's winger Tyler Dibling. Lower division stuff. Let's see if there's anything that crosses over. Sheffield United have made Gary O'Neill their number one target to replace Chris Wilder. Norwich City have rejected an opening bid from Porto for their 18-year-old forward. Napoli is also interested in signing Borja Sainz. They've also had a bid of their own rejected by Leicester City for keeper Jakub Stolarczyk. West Brom, one of a number of championship clubs chasing after Liverpool defender Nat Phillips. Yaphet Tanganga at Millwall. Blank you on Millwall. Wanted by as many as 5 Premier League sides, including Palace, could be available for £1.2 million. Hull want to sign Ollie McBurney from Las Palmas after their relegation from La Liga, but may face competition from his former club if Chris Wilder remains as Blades manager. Hull City also set to sign Semi Ajayi after he was released by West Brom this past summer. Charlton Athletic have seen a £1.5 million offer for Leyton Orient midfielder Ethan Galbraith rejected. 3 other championship clubs expected to bid for the ex-Manchester United Academy player. Derby County and Wrexham battling for the signature of Blackburn captain and midfielder Lewis Travis. Portsmouth keen on signing youth player John Swift after he was released by West Brom, also eyeing a move for Adrian Segecic from the A-League side Sydney FC. And Sheffield Wednesday captain Barry Bannon wants to stay at Hillsborough despite the club's ongoing financial issues. Okay. What to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. And for that, we go to our friends at Soccer America. And we'll find out what's going on today. Once again, Gold Cup on FS1, 7 and 10. Mark Followell, Warren Barton, Panama and Guadeloupe, Jamaica, Guatemala, Tyler Terrans, Moadu. Club World Cup is on TBS at 3, Chelsea and LAFC. Fox Deportes, simulcasting Jamaica and Guatemala, DAZN USA. Chelsea, LAFC at 3, Boca Juniors, Benfica at 6, Flamengo and Esperance de Tunis at 9. 2 to NA, simulcasting Chelsea and LAFC, simulcasting Gold Cup at 7 and 10, and that gets you through your Monday. Really quickly before we get out of here, let me check with our buddy Ben Jacobs, see if there's anything that we're missing. And I say that because, once again, Ben's going to join us 10 o'clock tomorrow morning to discuss what happens today in the Club World Cup. Club World Cup in general will probably go over Auckland and maybe some other things involving the Premier League. Looks like Florian Wirtz arriving in Liverpool on Thursday with formalities, including his medical, set to occur on Friday. Crystal Palace set to sign PSV keeper Walter Benitez, who's a free agent at the end of June. Agreement on terms reached last week. Let's see what else. Wolves confirmed that Domenico Tetti has joined as director of professional football as part of a new leadership team. Tetti previously worked with Vitor Pereira at Al-Shabaab. Matt Jackson, not the young buck, but Matt Jackson takes on a newly created position as director of player recruitment and development. Everton is going to face Roma on the 9th of August in the first senior men's team match at the brand new Hill Dickinson Stadium. Let's just say Bramley Moore, Doc. Bournemouth confirmed Adrian Truffert has joined from Rennes, 5-year, £14 million fee. That paves the way for Milos Kerkez to join Liverpool. Brighton have agreed on an €11 million fee for Hellas Verona center back Diego Coppola on a 5-year deal. That's a Monday. And so that means that tomorrow is when we get to talk about everything that happened in Major League Soccer. Like I said, Ben Jacobs is going to join us at 10. And we are efforting Jessica Charman in the Philadelphia airport in the 9 o'clock hour. So we'll catch up with her about Club World Cup. We'll catch up with Ben Jacobs about Club World Cup. And we are tracking down our Canadian sources to discuss anything and everything going on with the Canadian men's national team as they get ready for the matchup with Honduras Tuesday night late at BC Place. John Strong and Stu Holden are going to call that one with Canada and Honduras, but that is Tuesday night late, and we haven't even gotten to Tuesday early. So once again, thanks to all y'all for dropping by, as you always do. Thanks to our friends at the Club World Cup for letting us crash the party yesterday, catching up with Enzo Maresca, Steve Cherundolo, Aaron Long, Malo Gusto, and Frankie Amaya. It was great to catch up with that. Remember, 3 o'clock, simulcast, TBS, and DAZN, and 2 to NA. So keep an eye on that. 3 o'clock today. 3, 6, and 9, your matchups today. Chelsea, LAFC, Boca Juniors, Benfica, Flamengo, and Esperance de Tunis at the Link in Philly. So for everybody here at SDH, once again, set your notifications. We'll have something of a post-game show. Don't quite know the time or the length yet, but once Chelsea and LAFC are done, we will turn all of that sound, and we'll have a post-game show for you. As Enzo Maresca is never an optimistic soul, and he's not optimistic going up against LAFC at Mercedes-Benz. So for everybody here at SDH, thanks for dropping by, as you always do. Mucha platiel, play it safe. Since it is the end of the show, that means I get to do this. See you from Mercedes-Benz later today on SDH social media channels. See you back here in less than 22 for SDH AM. We have Tuesday Thoughts. Play safe, everybody. See you soon.